While at Parliament on 29th of January 1986, the president of this country, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, was sworn in as the president of the Republic of Uganda after overthrowing the government of General Tito Okello Lutwa. At Parliament, the president addressed the many Ugandans who attended this inauguration ceremony, and this is what he had to say: that the people of Africa, the people of Uganda, have a right of democratic government. This is not a favor from any regime. He went further and said that the sovereign people in any government should be the public and not the government. The president further said that the change which we had experienced at the moment was not a mere change of guards, but this was a fundamental change. So we want to assess the statements of the president. What did he mean when he made such statement? Number one, while answering this question, students must appreciate, we must all appreciate that the law is objective. Some of you are NRM, some of you are FDC, some of you are NUP, are DP. So when you meet such a question, you don't want to talk about the negative sides of the NRM because you are NRM. Because you are NUP, you don't want to talk about the good things. No, this is education. You are learning. Answer the question the way it has been said. Now, purposes of this statement has two implications. Number one, this statement is a two-sided statement. It has both the positive implication and the negative implication. Again, this statement tells you that in 1986, when this government came to power, you are looking at the gaps that from 1962 to 1986, when other leaders were leading this country, what are some of the mistakes that they did that this government has corrected from that time, 86, when they took over power? That is what we are assessing. We want to assess that and we appreciate it. So we are looking at all those bad things, the killing of the people. Remember when Idi Amin Dada came, he issued many notices. He was the law. He controlled the law. There was no law during his reign. Number two, remember the time when we had no president. Okay? So we are saying that we are assessing that period, the period when His Excellency Obote sent away the Kabaka of Buganda to exile, abolished the 1962 constitution, all that, the issue of evasion, when Nyerere invaded the country to take out Obote, all those mistakes which were done, the massive killings, taking off property. Remember, and legal notice 75 of Idi Amin Dada, land was now taken over by the government. Now, we are assessing all those things that when the NRM government came to power in 86, up to now. But normally when this question is asked, they tend to ask and tell you between 1986 to 1995. The issue is, don't stop at 1995. 1995 is a very significant year in the history of this country because that is the time when we received our constitution that we boast with today. That was the year when we received the constitution. So they are telling you, assess up to yesterday. We are assessing the NRM regime or the statement of the president until today, until yesterday. So meaning that you go through those fundamental elements in the constitution, what has been improved, because the only way this government tried to close the gap was by making this constitution the grand norm, as explained in Article 2 of the Constitution, the grand norm of this country, and they tried to put in everything in that constitution. So, therefore, we now want to assess the statement of the president that is there democracy in this country? Was the change we received a mere change of guard, or it was a fundamental change? Secondly, when you receive such a statement, first assess the statement, its strength. It's not a mere change of guards. What do they mean? But a fundamental change. Meaning, there are very many good things which they have done. So, I want us to enter straight into point number 1, which is the democracy. I want to thank you so much for watching Law School Made Easy at Law School Made Easy 256. We urge you to subscribe, share, and like our videos, and keep these comments coming through. Now, democracy. This government, or NRM government, has tried very high to showcase high levels of democracy in this country. If you looked at our constitution, Article 59, there is a right to vote. And you know that after every 5 years, we vote for our leaders. We vote for our leaders after every 5 years. So that is an indication of democracy. You vote for your MPs, and it is what they call free and fair election. You have a whole body that handles these elections, and that is the Independent Electoral Commission of Uganda. So that is one way to show that there has been improvement in promoting the term democracy in this country. So we are saying democracy is one of the fundamental changes the president was talking about, because if you just suppose this with 1979, when Amin came to power, 71, sorry, when he came to power, he took over. He was the law. There was no law. There was no election. And I want to remind you that we have a whole history in this country that even at independence, we had no general election. And Obote overthrew Mutesa when he was president. There was no election by the people. So we have this government which has now brought elections after every 5 years. Now, the only way you can appreciate these concepts, we have 2 ways of answering such a question that requires strength and weaknesses. Number 1, you can write about the positive and immediately you criticize that one and you go to another point. Or you only appreciate the positive areas and then after you write. But in this video, let us just take them away. We give the positive and we also give the negative immediately. We shall give like 2 to 3 points, purposes of understanding, and then people will have to appreciate and do more research to continue to appreciate this whole system. Number 2, democracy has also been denied to us. There has been gross misconduct while enforcing this democracy. Many bad things have happened. Number 1, you remember the case of Dr. Kizza Besigye versus Yoweri Kaguta Museveni of 2006, where the Constitution evoked its mandate in Article 104, where the Supreme Court acts as the court of first instance to listen to all presidential election petition. And in this petition, the judges ruled that there was gross misconduct in the election. But of course, they did not overturn the election. But remember, they are supposed to be free and fair. But they said there was gross malpractice in that election. In the same incident, same year, you remember the attack on Parliament by the Black Mamba. That was gross defiling of democracy. You must leave the courts to operate in their own way. You must leave the judges to operate at their own will. If it is about democracy, you can even cite the example when the SFC invaded the Parliament the other day in 2017. When Parliament was invaded, all that you were stepping on the democracy of the people. So that is how you go about that very point. We can cite another one to be security. There has been great improvement in the security of our country. We have security agencies which have been established in a bid to bring security. We had a war in northern Uganda that led to instability amongst the people, running up and down, killings. But the UPDF was able to bring all that down. So our security as a country has been greatly improved. We had scenarios where in the past, that the presidents in the past were the law, they would control, no court martial. But these days, you have a court martial where all those people that have committed, let's say, security guards are taken. If you remember the case of Opolot, Opolot was an army commander. But when he had issues with the Abin, it was the normal courts which handled the whole issue. So, with Obote, sorry. So you find that the security system of the country has been improved. We have been told that the days of Obote Amin, people would enter to sleep at midday. You are home at 4. But you see that there has been improvement. People run around this Kampala until morning. Our national treasures are guarded, protected. Our relationship with the terms of other countries is also highly respected. Look at our involvement in the Somalia war, AMISOM. We were there. That explains the strength of our security. The very many agencies which have been created. Of recent, during COVID, there is one of LDUs. However, rounded the way, but the idea of bringing them was to continue to strengthen security of this country. We have the SFU, we have the CMY, ISO, ESO, police and others, military, JAT and others. All those security agents are meant to protect our country. But again, in the same, there has been failures in that, and many of them. For example, let us assess the time when many Ugandans were killed at Chadolo Rugby Ground, 2010, the bombings. The other day here at Bowman House, Parliamentary Avenue, there was gross killings of people. Still at Bowman House, a policeman, still at Bowman House, a policeman who shot an Indian. That is insecurity. Many people having guns. It is insecurity. And that all is happening in Uganda. Remember of recent, the current attack on Omsinga of Munyoro. Of Kasese. Omsinga was attacked, taken to prison. That is insecurity. Many people killed, and among them, Erweru was boasting because of the killings. Now, you look at all those negative things which have been in the sector of security. Let us look at another very important point, is the international relations with our neighbors. There has been gross improvement in this relationship with our neighbors. Look at our involvement in the different activities of our neighbors. Let's take an example. In 1972, Amin had a very serious quarrel with Tanzania, Mzee Mwalimu Julius Nyerere. He even said, the president of the country saying, "You Nyerere, how come and marry you?" I will marry you. And we had a bitter exchange. And that explains why Nyerere started having all these UNLF, others, to go to his country to plan how to overthrow Idi Amin Dada. And that literally happened. Our relations with our neighbors was not good during the times. But now there has been an improvement. The East African community, which had collapsed in 1966, has now been revived in a bid of good relations with your neighbor, and that is an achievement of this government. There is a construction of the standard gauge railway line, which is supposed to be constructed. That is all good relations. But again, this same government has also failed in maintaining good relations. The other day you saw when Rwanda denied the entry of our commodity and our people to Rwanda because some of their people were being harassed here. So I think now you can imagine how you can go about this question. We are assessing their strength and weakness up to date. All those scenarios which have happened, said and done by an act, that is what we assess. Let us look at the Article 28 of this Constitution. Promotion of fair hearing. We can term it as a point as a respect of human rights. Our rights as citizens of this country under the NRM have been protected. They have protected our rights. How? We have a whole chapter 4 of the Constitution from Article 20 to Article 42 protecting the rights of people of Uganda, rights of children, family in 31, 34, 35, culture and others. No discrimination, fair trial. You see, everybody is taken to courts of law. But in the olden days, before the coming of NRM, most of these things were not there. People were detained. The Gracie Bingiras of this world were arrested. Arbitrary arrests were the order of the day. But some of those things have tried to stop most of those things. So therefore, respecting our human rights. We have a whole Article 51, I think, that talks about the Human Rights Commission, which has been put in place to accommodate all matters of human rights. That is one of the achievements of this government. But again, they have failed in respecting human rights. Look at how they throw people under the kabangani of police. Look at how they look at the massacre which happened in Msinga. Look at the massacre in Kasese. That was disrespect of human rights. They have failed in that area. Look at a point the other day when Wangadia, the chairperson Human Rights Commission, sent out the president of NUP from a commission which is meant to protect him, and only inquiring on a matter which they have taken 7 years minus calling. There is a weakness there, and that should be fixed. So we are saying, when you want to attack this question, assess all the good things and the bad things. Let us talk about the infrastructure. The infrastructure of this country. I remember when we were young, coming from Mulira up to Kampala, you take about 12 hours. But now it's 5 hours. The roads have been constructed. Other infrastructure. These days we are boasting of the express road here. Northern bypass. Those are improvement. Those things were not there. The roads were maram. But now we have tarmacked roads. We have serious hospitals. Health center force have been put in place. And very many others. You again criticize the same infrastructures. So that is how you go about this point. Look at respect of our cultures, custom. Obote had sent away and abolished kingdoms in this country. But they were restored by this government and given a whole Article 246 of the Constitution to protect the cultures, to protect the customs of the people. Because people belong to them. People assigned to them, they want their cultures. And the same has been done. But also, there are other violations of these cultures, which has been going on. The case in point, the serious case, is the attack on the Wakabaka of Msinga and Kasese. That was disrespect of customs and culture. He's in his culture with these people. Let him be. So, that is how you go about this. And then there are other very many points. The issue of trade. There has been improvement in trade. Very many other points. You go discussing one by one. Agriculture. Economic empowerment, Article 4 of the Constitution. They have economic empowerment through agriculture and other things. These are the points you want to discuss. Talk about the creation of NADS, Bonaba Gagawale, as achievements coming. Now we have PDM, Parish Development Models. However, there has been embezzlement in those areas. There are weaknesses in there. People have embezzled money. But one point you don't forget to talk about is corruption. Another point. Remember the looting of the gold in Congo before the coming of NRM. And now, what have they done to fight corruption? They have empowered the IGG. It's a good gesture. The president keeps talking about it in and out. That the fight for corruption is about all of us. But again, you talk about the weaknesses of corruption. There are weaknesses in fighting corruption. The other day, David Ijama was pardoned, but this guy swindled taxpayers' money. There has been no regulations, tough, serious, put on corruption. Corrupt people are stealing billions, 10 billions, you go to court, they tell him to go for 5 years, he comes back, it's their money. There should be stringent things they put up to fight corruption. So we are saying, in a nutshell, this is how you go about this question. We want to thank you for watching Law School Made Easy at Law School Made Easy 256. But this is how we go about this question. We thank you so much. Stay blessed.